And we are live. Welcome to the Robbie and Alec Show on Sunday,
What a game it was last night, wasn't it?
September
Our
24th.
play-by-play.
Yes, what a game it was last night. If you missed the play-by-play, I recommend going back and watching it so you can see my reaction at the end of the game to Ohio State winning. But, hold up. I'm putting a hat on. I don't want to deal with my bad hair day. So let's start. I know at the beginning of the week I said to once Anthony Richardson was ruled out to not pick up Minshew and start him. But now, who are the Colts playing?
Ravens.
Now, seeing as the Ravens will be without a couple secondary guys, I would stream Minshew this week. And the only Ravens I would feel comfortable starting this week are Andrews and Zay Flowers. Because supposedly what I've read is that there's, I guess, a stomach bug going around the Ravens facility. That's why Odell's out, Justice Hill. I'm going to say this. Unless you are desperate, do not start any Ravens running backs. Because that backfield is a complete and utter mess. And I've got a sleeper in the Ravens-Colts game. Wide receiver Tylan Wallace. He will be playing on most of the three wide receiver sets that the Ravens have. Tylan Wallace and Devin Duvernay are my two sleepers from the Ravens.
Where did Devin Duvernay go for college?
He went to Texas.
Okay.
And then, what's another game? Tennessee and Cleveland. Start Jerome Ford, but temper your expectations because Tennessee has a really good run defense. And start Amari Cooper and feel confident about it. Don't be me from last week when Amari Cooper was out and then he ended up playing and I had him on my bench. Don't make that mistake. The only way you bench Amari Cooper is if you have a better wide receiver than Amari Cooper on your team.
Like I do, like I have Hopkins and Devontae Smith and
I mean, Hopkins is good, but I would still. Who's your other receivers?
On my bench?
Yeah. If you have somebody that's better than him.
I traded you a good one this week. I'd give you Addison. Who else do I have? I would have to look.
To the viewers, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments section, and me and my co-host will try to answer them the best. And once the show is over, my co-host is going to be signing off, but I will be staying on for a couple extra hours to give you more advice on fantasy football and help you win your matchup this weekend. Just a little heads up. In the description down below is the link to the Talk Sports Fantasy Football League for 2023 or 2024. If you would like to join, all you do is click on the link in the description below, and it takes you to the place where you click on the join button and you sign up. And you can compete with me and
our upset picks. I'm going to give you my first upset pick. I've got the Titans upsetting the Cleveland Browns. I just don't trust the Cleveland Browns offense right now without Nick Chubb. And we don't know which Deshaun Watson's going to show up. So, in that case, I think Derrick Henry has a big game today. And I think Titans will upset the Cleveland Browns.
I'm going to say something about that. If you have Deshaun Watson in fantasy, I would still start him, but I don't feel as confident now in starting him as I did at the beginning of the season because there's no Nick Chubb.
I also have the Atlanta Falcons. My goodness, these Falcons are playing well right now. I have them upsetting the Detroit Lions. I think that's going to be a chess match, a complete chess match over there. Is that in Atlanta or in Detroit?
It is. I will tell you right now. Who was it? Atlanta?
And Detroit.
At Detroit.
Okay, I have the Falcons upsetting. The Falcons are 2-0. They beat the Packers last week.
Well, see that they beat the Packers, but you got to take into account Green Bay didn't have Aaron Jones, they didn't have Christian Watson, and they didn't have their best offensive lineman.
I think this is going to be a good game. I really do.
I do too.
My third upset is I think Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison go off today. I think the Vikings get their first one of the season, and they will upset the Chargers. Chargers defense has given up a ton of touchdowns, a ton of yards to receivers. If you remember what Tyreek killed the Chargers week 1, seems to me thinking that Jefferson's probably going to do the same thing in Chargers defense today.
Some injuries. If you have Austin Eckler,
get him out of your lineup. He's been out 2 straight weeks.
Pick up Joshua Kelly. I know he didn't have a good game last week, but I'm willing to give him one more chance before I put him back on waivers. And if you have another guy to get out of your lineup, Jamal Williams, the Saints put him on IR. Pick up, I know it's for only 1 week, but pick up Kendre Miller. I read on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, where the Saints beat reporters are saying that Kendre Miller is going to have a big role in this offense this week, with Jamal Williams being out and Tony Jones being the only other running back active at the moment, which they're going to call somebody up in the practice squad, but we don't know who it is. But that's the Kendre Miller, that's only for this week because Alvin Kamara will be back next week.
Which is huge.
Yes, that is huge for people that drafted Kamara in fantasy because you had to wait 3 weeks, but he'll be back in week 4.
So
And
I got a fantasy question for you. How long do we think Kyler Murray is going to be out for? And do you take the risk of starting him right when he comes back?
so what I've read from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, all the trusted NFL insiders is that the Cardinals, once they take Kyler off the pup list, they're not going to rush him back. They're going to let him take his time.
So that being said, people, if you want to pick up Joshua Dobbs,
I would,
a Tennessee
but
alum, I would.
I would, but I
Just
would,
cautious.
yes, I would be cautious in
Don't
picking
pick him
up.
up today. Don't start him today because he's facing the Dallas defense. So do not start him.
Well, the Dallas defense minus Trayvon Diggs.
Hi. Yeah, that is true.
So I'm going to say this. If you're in a super flex league, I would pick up Josh Dobbs, and say you had Aaron Rodgers or Anthony Richardson. I would start Dobbs against the Cowboys, but don't expect a big game. Because the Dallas defense, it's still the Dallas defense, even though they don't have Trayvon Diggs. Now, the thing is, you may be able to throw a little bit more on Dallas because Trayvon Diggs is gone. So if you have Marquise Hollywood Brown, who is the number one receiver in Arizona, I would feel confident starting him as a wide receiver 2 or a flex. Or if you play in a 3 receiver league, as your third receiver or a flex.
Zach Ertz is another name that you may consider wanting to start too.
Yes. Well, you know what? I would start Zach Ertz regardless because he gets the targets. And I'm going to give you a sleeper for this game. Michael Wilson, rookie wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals. I think this is where he has his coming out game. And I think this game's in the early window. Check.
And just a little fantasy advice, people. Don't start CJ Stroud today. Just going against the Jags defense. The Jags defense forced to commit 3 turnovers last week. So do not start.
That was Kansas City. And Kansas City doesn't.
Jags play Houston today. Do not start CJ Stroud.
I would say the only situation I would start Stroud in is if you're in a super flex or a 2 QB league where you have to start 2 quarterbacks. A 1 quarterback redraft dynasty league. Stay away from CJ Stroud.
One more fantasy question before I hop off. What do you think about what's his name? I forget what his name is. Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton. I mean, if you're desperate enough, I would just completely stay away from Andy Dalton. But if you're desperate and you're in a super flex 2 QB league, or a super flex league or a 2 QB league, I would pick up Andy Dalton. I would not start him.
Away from fantasy for a second. Did you see that Notre Dame's hosting College Game Day for the second week in a row next week?
No, I did not. Who are they playing?
Duke.
It's at Duke, right?
I think it's at Duke. I think that might be one of my upsets. Wait till Thursday. Wait till Thursday, people, but that might be one of my upsets. I might pull the trigger.
honestly, I think Notre Dame is going to be upset that they blew that game. And I'm sorry.
When they only had 10 people on the field.
I didn't even catch that last night.
I caught it on Facebook this morning.
Yeah, and I saw it this last night before I went to sleep. I didn't even count how many guys were on the field for Notre Dame. They could have got a penalty for not having enough guys on the field. If that's even a thing. I don't think it is.
No, he would have got a penalty for 12, but not for 10.
But I think Notre Dame's going to take out their frustration on Duke and end Duke's undefeated season.
Okay, so same time show next week, 10 a.m. Jags do not have a home game next weekend, so we will be doing normal schedule.
Yes, normal schedule next week. Robbie's hopping off, but I am staying on.
If you have any fantasy questions still for me, I will be watching the video, so just type them in the comments and I will answer.
Okay.
All right. Adios. See everybody next Sunday.
Now to here is my review of the Ohio State Notre Dame football game. For those of you that didn't catch the live stream last night, this was one of the best games I've done commentary for football in my career of doing YouTube. It was a low-scoring defensive battle. See, Kyle McCord had his moment of dominance last night with Ohio State took the ball with under. Yes, it was a miracle last night for Ohio State. A minute 25 left. Ohio State down by 4. I recommend going back. And if you didn't catch the end of the live stream last night, I recommend going back and watching the end of the live stream so you can see my reaction. You can ask my co-host in the comments. He saw my reaction and he said it was priceless. But here's an early look at some week 5 games for college football. Yes. Why? In what world is it okay? If you're leading by 4 points or more, why throw the ball at all? Why not just run it? And that's where Notre Dame kind of messed up, is they decided to throw the ball on second down when they could have ran it and made Ohio State use their last timeout. But they didn't. But anyway, back to early look at week 5 college football. The first game I'm going to look at for week 5 is Navy and USF. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this right now. If you're not a USF fan, you need to have your eyes on this game for one reason only. USF quarterback Byron Brown. This kid is the real deal. He threw for over 400 yards yesterday and 5 touchdowns. Yes, if Notre Dame would have ran the ball last night, they would have chewed the clock and they would have beat Ohio State. But like I was saying, even if you're not a USF fan or an American Athletic Conference fan, you need to watch the Navy USF game this weekend on Saturday. For one reason only, Byron Brown This kid leads the nation, all quarterbacks in FBS, in rushing yards. He is the next coming of, I don't know if y'all remember back in 2009, 2010, 2011, Quentin Flowers. He was a quarterback at USF. This is Quentin Flowers 2.0. Plus, Byron Brown can actually throw a good deep ball. USF is a dark horse for New Year's Six Bowl if they win the rest of their games. And just a little teaser into my rankings tomorrow, you might see a certain American Athletic Conference team in those rankings. And you may also see a certain team in the SEC join the rankings tomorrow at 4 o'clock. But this is the first time USF's offense has actually scored more than 28 points this year. And I love USF's new offense. Up-tempo, fast-paced. They don't give the other team's defense a chance to substitute. You snap your fingers, they're up at the line, they snap the ball within 2 seconds, and they've got a good receiver in Naheem Simmons, who all his catches he had yesterday were for over 40 yards. This kid, he's special. Naheem Simmons. He's another guy on USF you need to watch. And on defense for USF, that defense is physical, young, and inspiring. That defense will win USF games this year. Don't get it twisted. That defense for USF is not a joke like it has been the last few years. The second game to preview for week 5 is a game that I think might be on my upset picks this week. Ole Miss LSU. Ole Miss is going to be upset because they got beat by Bama. And I know they were underdogs, but I saw out there where there were some experts picking Ole Miss to beat Alabama. And I was one of them that was picking Ole Miss to beat Alabama because Alabama looks horrible. They look horribly awful. And I honestly don't think this is going to end up being a good game. I think LSU is going to end up winning. And the last game I am previewing for the week 5 of college football is Duke Notre Dame. I think this is where Duke's Cinderella run to start the season ends. I think Notre Dame's going to beat Duke this week because Notre Dame is upset that they blew the Ohio State game last night, and they're going to take their frustration out on Duke. Now, here's my thoughts on USF through 4 games so far this year. I'm going to say that I've been thoroughly surprised with USF so far this year. on multiple fronts. One being that they've played better than everybody was giving them credit for. And I think they're going to hit their over on their win total, which I set at 6. I think they're going to win more than 6 games this year. And Alex Golish, first year as head coach. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I talked about it at the beginning of the stream, but I'm going to talk about it again. I have a fantasy football league that I am offering to all my subscribers. If you are subscribed already to the Talk Sports YouTube channel and my YouTube, the Alex Sports Guy, you are eligible to be in this fantasy football league. And it will either start in 2023 at some point, or it'll be starting in 2024. I highly recommend joining because you get to compete against me and my co-host and my play-by-play partner, Robbie Colleton, in this fantasy football league. It's a 16-team PPR league where you start 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, and it's a super flex dynasty league, basically, where you get to keep your starting lineup and all you draft is rookies and bench guys every year going forward. So, if you want to join, the link to that is in the description below. Or the other way you can join is DM me on Instagram at AlecThomasPecano24, and I will send you the link to the Fantasy Football League over there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about on the show today is why I think USF quarterback Byron Brown is a dark horse, deep dark horse for the Heisman. Number one, and you may see him on my list for the Heisman tomorrow, because I do my Heisman list the same time I do my top 25. So you may see him on there tomorrow. But this kid came out of nowhere. He wasn't supposed to be starting this year. It's supposed to be Gary Bohannon, but Gary Bohannon is still recovering from off-season shoulder surgery. So that means that Byron Brown was thrust into the starting role. And I think he's done a whale of a job so far as USF's quarterback. And the reason I think he's a dark horse for a Heisman is because of he's a dual threat. He can throw the ball. He's got a really good arm, but he can also run. And in my opinion, to have a quarterback that can do that, that says a lot. And I think he could be a dark horse for Heisman. And thank you. That's going to do it for today's stream. I will see everybody back here at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Thank you.